Hello and welcome everybody. So today we are going to look at functions in Rust. So for understanding functions, we are going to look at the four topics here. So what are functions? What are arguments in a function? What are statements and expressions? And what is the difference between a statement and an expression? Last is function with return values. So we have seen functions before. So this main is the function. It is the default function that comes with the Rust. When we call a program, this is the function that runs. This is the default function that runs when we call our when we do our cargo run. This is the main function that is run. So how do we create a function is we can use the same syntax. So fn is the key that we use to create a function. Then we will name a function. Let's say I have named a function first uh, first function. Then we provide a parenthesis and then a curly braces to define our code inside our function. Okay, this is my first function. As we can see, we have created a function with the key fn and the name is first function, and we are printing this inside it. But when we run our program, so the main function will be called, and there is nothing in the main function that is calling our this first function. So for calling our first function and make sure it runs, we have to call our function like this. So we'll provide first function and then we provide parenthesis. Let's run and see how it will show cargo run. So this is my first function. So what happened is our function started from here, then it went from first function, then it called this function, and then it ran this print ln statement. So this is how you write a function in Rust. Our next topic is arguments. So what are arguments? So arguments are the values that we pass from where we are calling the function to the function. So let's say I have a value here, let x equals to 10. Okay, let x equals to 10. Now I want to pass this value to this first function, so I can print this value like this. My first function value. Okay, so we have here x, but where, how I will get the value of x? So I can pass this value here inside this parenthesis. X will be passed here. Here I also have to define the value I want here, x. And one thing is we have to define the data type of our arguments. So let's say this is the i32 data type. So now we can see this, here we defined our x, we pass it from this where we are calling to the function where we have defined, and then we are using this value inside our function. So let's run this. So as we can see, the value of first function is 10. So 10 is passed. If I change the value here, this will be printed the changed value. Okay, so this is how we define, and the name that we are passing here and the name that we are giving here doesn't have to be same. So if I can give this y, I can pass this y, and I can still use x here. So this works on the positional argument. So this works on the position argument. So the first argument will be matched to the first argument. So and as you can see, we can add multiple arguments here. So I can add a y also, that is also an i32. I can add maybe some height, that is also i32. So we have x, y and height, and we are not using all those things. So I can, it shows like the x value is y, then I can give maybe 4 and 5 or something. So this is how we run this. So this is how we can pass multiple arguments. So these are arguments in our functions that we can pass from one position to one function where we are calling to the next where the function is being called. Okay, so for our statements and expressions, uh, we have two things. We are already using multiple statements. So this print ln is also an statement. So this is a statement, and let x equals to 10 is also an statement. So statements are the lines that we write in a Rust code that do not return a value, and expressions are the piece of code that does return a value. So how we can define it is, let's say we have let x equals to x. So this is a statement that does not return a value. So I cannot do like let y equals to let x equals to 10, because this does not return any value. Okay, so that's why this cannot be assigned to this. So that is clear. But what we can do is we can create a expression. So our expression would look like something like this, where let x equals to 10. So we can see we created our value let x equals to 10, and then we return our x. Because of this expression we can return this value of x, and that would be assigned to y, that we can print y. So I have to add it this way. So this is the expression, and this is a statement. Statements, just keep in mind, statements are the piece of code that does not return anything, and expressions are the piece of code that does return a value. Okay, so why the expressions are important? Because functions does have a return value. So let's remove this our first function, and we have seen our expression. Let's look at the functions with return values. So for this I am going to create, let's say we have a value of x equals to 10, and we have a let y equals to maybe 15. Okay, and I'm going to create a function add a number that will, what it does is it will take x and y and it will add those numbers. Okay, so let's create this function, uh, function add num. We does have a x value, that is a I32, and we does have a y value, that is also an I32, and what it does is it does x plus y. Okay, so and let z equals to x plus y, we assign it to z. So we have done our x plus y equals to z, but right now we are doing some operation here, and what if we need to use a value here? I want to assign it to here also. Let z equals to add num x comma y. Okay, so let's remove this. So here we can see I want to assign our add number to z, but by default you can see there is nothing, no data type is assigned to z. Let's forcefully assign it to I32, because we know the value of our integer that after submission will be I32. Okay, so now we can see we have a error, because expected type is I32, but we do not define anything in a function like what type of value this function will return. So for defining a return value, the syntax will become something, we have a arrow here, and we will define what type of value we want to return. So with this we define like I want to return a I30 from the add function number. Now when we define this I32 return, it gives us this error like you are saying like you want to return a I32, but you did not return anything like that from this function. So let's fix it and return our z. So now we have returned our z from the function. This function is happy, and this also got the value. So now I can do print ln and value, and I can print my z. So z should be after adding these two number, that would be 25. cargo run. So here you can see we have a value of 25 that we got here after adding two numbers. Creating a function with the return types have two parts to it. First is we have to define what type of return value do we expect from our function. Second is we do have to return the same type to make our function valid. So that's it for this video. We have seen four things: what are function, how do we define arguments in a function, statements and functions with return values.